If you believe you have to be perfect, you've already set yourself up for failure. We are imperfect human beings. There is not one person on this planet that is perfect. And if you try to set yourself up as an outlier, you're going to be met with frustration. How to stay consistent with losing weight. What I'm going to do in this video, which may or may not be very, very interesting, is ask Chat GPT to ask me multiple questions from different angles on that topic, as if it is a multitude of different people who are struggling with consistency when it comes to weight loss, and they're asking me the questions that they have to ask. Before we get into it, let me just explain who I am. My name is Coach Alan. I'm the founder of Mind Body Training. I'm an online personal trainer based in Ireland with over 9 years experience, and last year I completed my 4-year degree in counselling and psychotherapy, which means I take a psychology informed approach when it comes to holistic transformations, including weight loss. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to need my specs for this because I am blind as a bat and I can not see a thing. So the first question, if weight loss, and I didn't look at these questions yet, I just asked it, told it what I want to do, and before I pressed record in the video I said, okay, ask the question. So I haven't actually read through the questions yet. The first one, if weight loss is quote unquote simple, why do so many people still struggle to stay consistent even when they know what to do? This is a difficult question to answer because individuals are unique. They have different obstacles, they have different desires, and because that is the case, there is no singular answer to this question. But what I have found is that consistency is not the problem. Consistency is a symptom of a problem or a multitude of problems, and because I do not know you, I can't pinpoint exactly what the underlying problem is that is resulting in your inability to stay consistent when it comes to weight loss. But I do have a lot of experience, and because I take a psychology informed approach, I like to look a little bit deeper than kind of surface level weight loss. And what I have found is a very common underlying factor. It's the approach. If you follow an approach that simply does not go with the grain of your life and which does not tickle your taste buds, you're going to be a lot less likely to stay consistent with it. In order for you to stay consistent, the approach, it needs to be fully tailored to your unique needs, to your unique goals, and it needs to be flexible because you're a human being. Like every human being, you're imperfect and you're not going to have perfect days when it comes to executing your plan of action. So for those days, you'll need to have a more flexible approach that you can take so you do not give up. So that's kind of one of the biggest issues that I see that results in people's inabilities to stay consistent. They're simply following a plan that is very, very difficult for them to stick to, which they cannot stick to, you know? So that's the answer to that question there. Number 2, is a lack of motivation actually the problem, or is it something else we keep mislabeling as motivation? That I basically answered that in the first answer there. Motivation, again, when people come to apply for my program, after applying, we jump onto a call and ask them, what is the number one issue that you're having when it comes to losing weight? And they'll say, not all, most of them will say, my problem is motivation. But just like consistency, motivation isn't the real problem. It's a symptom of something else. And what I have found with clients, again, individuals are different. They have different difficulties, different problems, different desires and different needs. But one thing that I have found is that energy, a lack of energy, is often misinterpreted as a lack of motivation. When you are full of beans, it becomes much easier to get up and go on a walk, to do a workout, to cook up a nutritious meal. However, when you are drained of energy, it becomes a lot more difficult to do those things. So I find when clients come on board, they say, right, my biggest obstacle is motivation. After doing a lifestyle assessment, I'll come to find that their sleep isn't too well, or they are sleeping maybe too long, or they're sleeping kind of the ideal amount of hours each night, but they're stuck to their phones just before they go to sleep, which does not result in deep restorative sleep, and it impacts their energy levels. So when we work on kind of lifestyle changes, including their nutrition, automatically the energy increases and motivation tends to become a problem of the past. So again, motivation is very similar to consistency, but they're not isolated problems. They are the effects of other causes. And when you clarify those causes and focus on them as opposed to getting more motivated or becoming more consistent. Motivation and consistency tends to take care of itself. Third question: how does all or nothing thinking sabotage consistency, and how can someone break that cycle in real life, not just in theory? This video, for example, let me just be completely honest with you. Yesterday I attempted to make this video, and I would have attempted to make it 10 times. It was different. I was just talking off the top of my head. I was not asking Chat GPT to ask me questions. That idea came this morning. But the reason why I did not complete the video yesterday is due to all or nothing thinking. I wanted the video to be perfect. You might have noticed in this video I made a couple of stutters. I might have said the wrong words. My mind is eventually going to go blank. I'm not going to edit it, because today I said to myself, I'm going to make this as simple as possible. I'm going to ask Chat GPT to ask me questions, because I find when someone in real life asks me a question, I can answer it, I can articulate it quite well. Whereas if I'm trying to look just at a phone and articulate it the way I would in real life, I tend to mess up. I put too much pressure on myself. I aim to be perfect, and the more I aim to be perfect, the less perfect I become, the more mistakes I make, and I don't finish it. I give up. And the same is true when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to staying consistent. If you believe you have to be perfect, you've already set yourself up for failure. We are imperfect human beings. There is not one person on this planet that is perfect. And if you try to set yourself up as an outlier, you're going to be met with frustration sooner or later. So again, like I was mentioning at the start, the approach that you take is very, very important. Because if your approach is set up correctly, let me just explain, all right? For you to lose body fat, you need to act in certain ways. For you to act in certain ways, you first need to clarify the bare minimum of actions that you need to engage in order to get the results. So to lose fat, there's many things that you can do, but there's only a couple of things that you actually need to do. And if you go all or nothing in on the many things, and you're not clear on the few essential things, you might put more attention into less effective things than you are putting into the things that actually drive progress forward. You might be overlooking them completely. Whereas when you clarify the vital few, you can then forget about the many, and you can kind of put your effort into those handful of things while recognizing that you're a human being. You're not going to be perfect with them every single day for the rest of your life, and that is all right. To be consistent, you need to take imperfect action, and you need to do that the majority of the time, not all of the time. So when it comes to going on a walk, for example, if you say to yourself, every single day for the next 6 months, I'm going to do a daily walk of an hour. You may be able to do that. You may not be able to do it. But if you can't do it and you set yourself up to do it, you're going to mess yourself up, you know? So instead, if you say to yourself, right, my aim over the next 6 months is to get out on a walk with no specific duration at least 4 times a week. That is a lot more doable. It's a lot more achievable. And the more you take such imperfect action, the better you become at doing the thing that you want to do. Such as this, for example, I'm freestyling this. It's nothing's written down, nothing scripted. I'm going off the top of my head. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to go off on tangents, so on and so forth. The more I take consistent but imperfect action, the better I'm going to become at speaking like this. And it's the same when it comes to going walks, working out, your nutrition. If you take imperfect but consistent action, over time you're going to improve in regards to what you're doing without forcing yourself or putting yourself under pressure to improve, you know? So hopefully that answered your question. You do not need to go all or nothing when it comes to losing weight. You need to focus on the handful of key things that actually drive you forward, and you need to be flexible in that approach. You don't need to be perfect with them every single day. So the next one: what role does emotional regulation play in weight loss consistency, especially around stress, fatigue, and comfort eating? This is an interesting question. Emotional regulation is very... Let's just reel it back, right? Fat loss is an effect that comes about as a result of certain causes. Those causes: going on a walk, staying consistent with your workouts, eating reasonably nutritious, but in a flexible way that doesn't kind of do damage to your relationship with food. So those are causes that result in an effect of weight loss, but those causes are influenced by additional causes. And some of those causes are your emotions. If you are emotionally strong, if you are very, very stressed or very, very anxious, your brain and body is going to seek relief. And if in the past you taught yourself subconsciously, which we all tend to do when it comes to soothing our emotions, you may have learned that food can give you immediate relief from your emotions. So if that is the case, and if you're attempting to lose weight and stay consistent with that, learning to regulate yourself emotionally is very, very important. Because if you just dive straight into things with your training, your exercise, your nutrition, and you do not address the things that determine whether or not you can approach those things in a healthy and helpful manner and stay consistent with them, sooner rather than later, the underlying factors are going to crop their heads back up, i.e. your emotions. So you might have a complete blowout when it comes to food. And as a result of doing that, if you're in all or nothing thinking, you might beat yourself up. And because you beat yourself up, you feel worse. And because you feel worse, what do? You eat more food and you get into a negative cycle. So emotional eating or emotional regulation is very important. Things that can help you do that: mindfulness, breath work. Breathe in for 4 seconds through your nose. Breathe into your stomach, not into your chest. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly and fully through your mouth for 4 seconds. Hold. Do that 2 to 3 times each morning. Very, very effective. So you have that. Exercise then is brilliant for it. If need be, therapy. So if you have kind of things that have not been fully processed and that you're finding difficult to manage, I definitely recommend seeking a therapist to kind of help you with that. So there's different things that you can do, and if you do it, it's going to make staying consistent much easier, in my opinion. So the next question then is, how important is identity, meaning seeing yourself as someone who looks after their health, compared to willpower and discipline? This is very, very important. So again, what drives behavior? Your biology drives it. Your social or external influences also drive your behaviors, but how you see yourself drives them as well. So if I see myself as somebody who can not stick to anything long term, when I attempt to do something that requires me to stick to it long term, my identity is going to make it a lot more difficult to stick it out. Whereas if I see myself as somebody, when I set my mind to something, there's no if, buts, or maybes. I am going to stick it through. That identity, that self-image is going to make it a lot easier for you to actually self-fulfill that kind of prophecy or that idea that you see of yourself. The funny thing about identity, so when I look at identity, what is it that determines the identities that we cultivate and create? What is it that determines our self-image? It's very, very complex when you really, really think about it and look at it from kind of a scientific or psychological lens. But a way to really simplify it is, I believe that our identities, they are highly influenced by our experiences. So all of our past experiences right up until today have generated the identity or the self-image, or what we see of ourselves when we look at ourselves in the psychological mirror. Which means, in order to cultivate a new identity, one that is helpful, one that will empower us, one that will drive us forward in the direction that we want to move in life, we have to create new experiences that contradict old experiences that resulted in identities or ways of thinking that aren't serving us. For example, if I have an identity that I just can't get fit, no matter what I do, you have past experiences that have supported or built that identity. You need to create new experiences that contradict that. So you need to, over time, show yourself that, no, I actually am somebody who can get fit, because for the past 3 months I've been doing things that have been helping me get fit, and I actually have data there that proves this theory is actually true. I'm actually after getting fitter. I can do more jumping jacks, I can do burpees, I can do more push-ups, I can walk for longer without losing my breath. So action is a very powerful thing when it comes to changing your identity, and which can be a bit difficult then. It's like, if I have a very unhelpful identity that is very disempowering, how do I get myself to act in a way that will create new experiences that will contradict the past experiences, and therefore cultivate a new and empowering identity? I think some of the questions and answers that we've discussed at the start of this video can kind of help you do that, So we move on to The next question, why do people tend to fall off most after a good week or two of progress, and how can they prevent that drop off? There's so many different reasons. Some common ones is a lack of forethought, so you're not really thinking ahead. I find this question is very, very powerful. If this, then what? If this, then what? So you think ahead, or you think back and you ask yourself, on all of my past attempts to lose body fat, what are the things that literally threw me off track? And is there any commonalities amongst those things? So if last year I tried to lose weight, something threw me off track. If the year before I tried, if 2 years before that I tried, clarify all the different the turning points for yourself that threw you off track, write them down, and then go through them. And is there any common, oh right, I'm starting to see the exact same thing keeps cropping up here. Work demands increase, and because work demands increased, it impacted my ability to go to the gym or stay consistent with my sessions. And as soon as I missed a couple of sessions, my food went out the window. As soon as my food went out the window, I began to really feel it within myself. I wasn't feeling too good, and my mind began to spiral, and I just went off track. So the question then is, if that happens again, which it more than likely will if you look through the past and you see that it was a pattern, if that happens, what am I going to do? And really ensuring that the things that you're going to do are actually well thought out, and they're actually going to help you navigate things, you know. And something I always say to clients, which might be worthwhile, I always say to clients just before they start the program, imagine you're sitting by a stream of water, and it's a nice sunny day, and you're watching the water go down the stream, and over to the left you see a big boulder sticking out of the water. The boulder can be symbolic of the inevitable obstacle or obstacles that are going to get in the way. You are the water moving in the direction that you want to move. What happens when the water hits the boulder? It doesn't stop right there. It doesn't turn back. It doesn't try to fight against the rock, or it doesn't beat itself up for hitting the rock. It simply finds a way to walk around the boulder and continue on its journey. And that's what we all need to do when it comes to getting into shape. Working out, for example, if you're getting yourself into a routine of doing 40-minute sessions each week, 2 weeks in, something that's coming up, rather than not doing the session, I'm going to just do 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to navigate around this boulder, continue moving on my journey, you know, like that. So we'll continue on now to the next question. What does being consistent actually mean in practice? And how is it different from being perfect? I think I already answered that. Being consistent is taking imperfect action and not taking it from a place of pressure, but figuring out ways that makes doing it enjoyable. So the way I'm making this video, for example, I'm freestyling it. It's not going to be a perfect video. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to sound too polished or professional. I can make a video like this at least once a week. Whereas if I script the video, write it out, and look at one line, look at the camera, read, look back, and do that through the whole video, it's going to take me about 3 hours to make the video. It's going to take me 2 hours to edit it. I don't have 5 to 7 hours each week to make a video. So I'm going to take imperfect action. I'm going to do it in a way that I actually enjoy doing it. I'm having a human conversation. If I'm talking to somebody, whether it's a client or a family member, if I need to have a little cough, I'm going to have a little cough. I'm not going to walk out of the room and then cough and come back. So there's no need for me to cut it out of this video. I'm going to have conversations that I like doing, and that's going to allow me, that's going to motivate me to stay consistent, you know. So that's what consistency means with me. Doing it in a way that doesn't put you under pressure and that is enjoyable, and doing it often. Okay, so that's all of the questions that Chat GPT asked me for today. If you found this video helpful, be sure to let us know in the comments, give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. If you'd like to learn more about my 12-week mind-body transformation, so we can put everything that I discussed in this video into action and tailor it to your unique needs, desires, and obstacles, description of this video, you'll see the link.